Oh!
There goes my balloon.
That was one we prepared earlier. Hello and welcome to An Unfiltered Conversation, our new Green IFA podcast from inside the European Parliament. My name is Simon McKegney and I'm joined today by MEPs Kim van Sparentak and Rasmus Norquist. Our topic today is Pride still important? Let me first introduce our guests. Kim van Sparentak is a Dutch Green MEP from the European Parliament and leads a cross-party LGBTQIA group in the European Parliament. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
We also have Rasmus with us. He's a Green MEP from Denmark and he has a second hat, which is board member of the European Green Party, where, among many other things, I'm sure, he's also taking the lead in the queer network of European Green Parties. Rasmus, you're very welcome as well. We're going to keep it as relaxed as possible. In this episode, we will do a deep dive to answer the question, is Pride still important? We will start with our guests' personal Pride memories, touch upon Pride as protest, and discuss Pride under pressure, like in Hungary. We will end with some optimistic notes, discussing with Kim and Rasmus what gives them hope for the future. First, a housekeeping note. From now on, you can subscribe to our podcasts on your favourite apps so you never miss an episode. We have listed the options on our website at greens.eu/podcast. And I think we're ready to go, so I will now start. The really nice thing about podcast formats is that we get to know you a little bit better, I think. So, aside from the plenary speeches and the press releases, I think it's a really nice moment to take a longer format and discuss a bit things that are important to us as a family, European Greens, but also to you both individually. So first, we're going to talk about your personal Pride, and I'll go maybe to Kim first. Can you talk about your proudest moment, or maybe your first moment of Pride coming into your brain as an idea, a concept?
Yeah, I think when I think about Pride, it's really about knowing you're not alone. For me, it is so for me, really the first time I went to a Pride, I grew up in a small town in the Netherlands, and then I went for the first time to Amsterdam Pride. I was already quite convinced that I was into women, but then I was there and I was like, oh, and I'm really not the only one. So for me, that feeling of strength in numbers and knowing how many people there are that are also in the community, how many people you can flirt with, how many people you can dance with. No, that's one of the most beautiful things for me. That it's that one day where you can really feel that you're not alone, despite the fact that you might be in a family where you're the only person, or in a school, or at a university.
And Rasmus, do you remember your first Pride?
Oh yes. My first real Pride, that was in 96, when Copenhagen was European Cultural Capital. And that was actually part of the big program, was the Pride. So the first time it was really big, there was a Pride Square. And I remember this, I was already out as queer at that point, but to all of a sudden be the center of the city. We were them who was it. And it was my community, and still that what it gives me every year at Copenhagen Pride. It's like the city gets a little bigger. There's a bit more. You can breathe better. It's just this special feeling of being not the odd one out, but actually being it's our city.
Okay, we have a challenge for you while we do this podcast, if that's okay. We're in a very, as maybe the listeners can't see, but a very white and beige and 90s brown building, centre of the European Parliament, third floor. But we have in front of you two very colourful balloons. We're wondering, as a challenge, as we go through this interview, and some bits will be serious, some bits will be light, but we can see if you can blow up the balloons while we're continuing. It should look, for those who can see, by the end, it should look like a perfect rainbow, rainbow. So you can take your time.
Oh, it's not a competition?
I mean,
because I can be competitive. Yeah.
Let's. I don't want you out of breath and dying on the podcast.
That's true.
No, you just need to have. We should need to have a functioning rainbow by the end of the half an hour.
Deal.
Okay. My next question is, so we've gone to your first Pride. Do you remember the decision to go? Do you remember that moment where you're like, I don't know if that's for me? Do you have any early memories of this?
I don't really. But also, my background, my family background is I'm from a rainbow family, so it wasn't that big a thing to get out of the closet as it is. I actually did that quite early on, but so it was very natural for me to go when all of a sudden there was Pride in my city. So no, but I meet a lot of, especially young people who are there for the first time, and to be able to also embrace that people some people come and have been quite nervous about it, and that's what we have to take into account as a community at Pride as well. Is some people are there for the first time, they might be young, they might be older, and to embrace that.
I think that was my next question for those who might be still struggling with the idea of going. Kim, would you have any messages for young people who are thinking about it as Rasmus starts his balloon challenge?
Yeah. So for my first Pride, actually, I took my parents with me. I was about to move to Amsterdam to study there. It was Amsterdam Pride. My parents were coming to help me move, and I was like, let's go. And actually, what I noticed, which was a very beautiful thing, is that also my parents, who are pretty straight, they felt super happy and super free. Because that is the feeling of freedom and being allowed to be who you are and who you want to be. They also felt that very clearly. So that was something very beautiful to see, and I feel very privileged that my parents wanted to go with me to my first Pride. I think when it comes to advice, try to find someone you can go with.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be someone who is also part of the community. It can be a friend who is straight. It can be someone who has no idea yet whether they like someone from the same sex or whether they're queer or trans. But I think it's a very beautiful place. And what you just said about when you see someone who's there for the first time, you can clock it usually, like, oh wow, there's someone here who is so bright-eyed and who can really, for the first time, experience this feeling of being in a huge group of people and really being the majority for a day. It's an amazing feeling, and of course, Prides, you have them in many ways. You have the huge parties. You also have the marches. You have different types of events always. I mean, if you are not the party gay, but if you're more the type of person who prefers to go to a movie night, usually it's not only a Pride march on one day, but when there's Prides in cities, they organize a lot of side events. If you are someone who prefers to go, maybe painting, very, very likely there is also an event where you can go paint and meet other people from the community. So if you're not into crowds and big parties, I would recommend look at the program if there's something else for you. But definitely, I can only recommend going once just to see what it's like.
Okay, we're going to let Kim start on her balloon activity.
It was actually difficult to concentrate on because I wanted to listen as well. I felt so...
I think I can do that.
You can do it.
Okay, while she's doing that, we asked Kim and Rasmus to send us some photos of their favorite Pride moments in the last few years. And I'm going to start with Rasmus's photo. So for those listening, he's looking very charming, very stylish in his summery shorts and runners with a big SF rainbow flag. Do you want to give us a bit of background to the photo?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that many years ago. I was really looking through pictures, and when I started going to Prides, I didn't have an iPhone to snap pictures with. It's on paper somewhere. but this is just really, it shows this is with my political party in Denmark coming together and have this, again, community of us showing that we are there. It's the LGBTQIA network of the party who organize it. And I think it's illustrated quite well. Don't think people can see the face, but it's pretty happy face because this is the start of the parade where we walk down in the beginning of the Pride parade in Copenhagen, and there's people everywhere, and people are so happy and cheerful, and it gives a lot of pride
yeah.
to be there to show our colors. it's every year it takes me by surprise. I just get this buzz of yes, we're doing it, and just wanted to say as well that Copenhagen Pride is huge. It's big. There's a lot of very small prides as well in smaller cities where I've been in one where we were 45 people in a village walking around, but actually it was the same feeling of togetherness as a community showing up for our rights and.
Okay, and then we have Kim looking very, very happy, which I think that's a canal in the background. So I'm guessing
Yes.
Amsterdam or somewhere. Oh, no.
Actually, it was Utrecht.
Okay.
Pride. Utrecht is a bit smaller. Amsterdam has gotten very, very big. So I personally prefer Utrecht now because it's a bit smaller and it's more a bit for and with the community. And last year, before the Pride, I organized an event together with activists from Hungary and an activist from Italy, basically to explain to Dutch people in the community how to protect prides and how to protect civil rights and how you deal with very difficult circumstances. Because I was a bit worried that as Dutchies aren't as good in understanding what it can mean when your rights are taken away. So I was in general already in a very ecstatic mood because it was such a beautiful, empowering morning. And I think this photo was taken when someone recognized me from the boat and started someone from a ballroom project, and she started like singing, talking, rapping about me.
Nice.
So I was very honored and excited that someone did that.
Very nice. Rasmus, it looks like it's almost like a bagpipe Scottish, but it's getting there. It's becoming more and more like a rainbow. Okay, we're going to move on to part 2, which is Pride as protest, and actually it's a good segue what Kim you were talking about there. Pride is, if I'm not wrong, 55 years old today. This year rather. The first was on June 28, 1970, 1 year after the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Fast forward 55 years, maybe go back 5 years, so 50 years later, I have a feeling it became sort of a corporate advertising creature as well. It became not just protest, but celebration. Everyone wanted to be part of Pride. Every business was involved, good points and bad points. And now, maybe even up to more recently this year, we have seen US companies bowing to the pressure of to remove the diversity, equality, and inclusion measures that the Trump administration is going on about. Firstly, what do you think about that change of Pride over the years? And secondly, do you feel it's still got that protest heart that it did maybe 2 decades ago? Or where are we with Pride? What does Pride mean in 2025? I don't know who wants to start. Maybe I think Rasmus was... Yeah, just to give...
But actually I don't see that it's against each other, the party, the celebration and the protest.
Yeah.
Because just that we are in the streets celebrating the LGBTQI community, that is a protest. Because we have to remember, we live in a heteronormative society. When you watch the telly, when you go to the cinema, when you listen to music, it's not normal, so to say. We're not part of the normality. So just to be in the street, taking over the streets, that is a protest in itself.
Yeah.
Then I think the whole protest is very important that we remember there's still fights. Yeah. And there is in all countries. I mean, both Kim and I come from what we call normally very liberal countries, but they are LGBTI rights worth fighting for, both in Denmark and in the Netherlands as well. Other countries, it's something else, and there's even more to fight for. But I also want to say about businesses joining in. I know there's been a lot of discussion about that, and I actually like it. I like that workplaces can go out and say, yes, we also do that. Of course, there has to be a real action behind it. And that's where it gets interesting, is that 5 years ago, all the companies want to be part of it. And I was like, yes, it's good. It's also being able to be out in your workplace, whether you're a firefighter or you work for an internet company or what it is. But then when you see right now that the companies then are withdrawing from being sponsors at Pride or being even participating in the Prides, That's when I get pissed off, because then they don't really mean it.
Yeah.
And then just give us even more to fight for.
Yeah. Kim?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm always quite skeptical, because indeed, what does it mean that you as a company participate, right? There are companies who actually then have a pride line. You know, we know that, of course, every clothing line, clothing store now also has to have a pride line. And there are some that then actually say, and the profits of that line all go to LGBTI charities. And then I'm like, yes, please do that, and have a bit less profit. Make sure that it goes to the right people. And in that way, sure, we can celebrate this. But a lot of companies have also done it indeed just as a way to make more money and to show that they wanted to show off, basically pinkwashing, that they care, but in practice didn't do much. So I think this has always been quite complicated. And at some point in certain prides, for example in Amsterdam Pride, it became really strong. Like there was more space for businesses who paid a lot of money than for smaller groups who also wanted to have a boat, because in Amsterdam it's boats, so there's also a limit on how many people can actually be in the float to participate. And then I think it becomes problematic. But as the organizers of Amsterdam Pride always said, it was never a protest, it was always a commercial event. And since then, actually, there have been a lot of people in Amsterdam who've changed this, and now we also have a Pride March, and that is truly a protest. That's the day when we really stand up for our rights. So that's very interesting to see that difference.
Yeah.
I think in many other places, where LGBTIQ rights aren't that far advanced, it means sometimes way more that a company is standing up, that the company does want to walk along, because that actually means that they are doing something that's really against the norm. So it really also depends on the context, I think. But in general, I think Pride should be for the community, it's a protest for us. And indeed, if you support us, please do, but don't take the center stage. And sometimes they forget to do that. So I think that is the most important thing, that we understand that and everyone understands it's about us. I think what it means right now still to have a Pride, it is indeed about being visible, and indeed being visible is a form of protest. Like the fact that we exist is a form of a protest. You know, they don't like it. They don't like the fact that I have a girlfriend, that I'm getting married with her even. So
and congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Getting married.
I'm getting married.
It's wonderful to get married.
Yes? Is it good?
It's
Do
so
you
much
recommend
fun.
it?
I recommend it.
Okay.
I mean, me and my husband always talk about, we're actually a bit sad that we got married already because it was so fun.
Oh, but we are basically already talking about when we renew our vows and when we have another party. So, okay.
And it's this summer, right?
It's this summer, like in Pride season.
Beautiful.
So,
Very nice.
So I'm very looking forward to that. But there's a lot of people who hate that idea because what does that mean for their marriage? I mean, I hope nothing. When they get married, it doesn't mean anything for me, but sure. The fact that we exist is just a form of a protest, and I feel that even more when I'm at a Pride, you know, making out with my girlfriend at a Pride, that feels extremely powerful always, because then it really feels like a statement.
Well, we're going to get into the Prides coming up. I know you're all going to a lot, but there's one that's really on the media radar this year, and that's, of course, Hungary and the Budapest Pride, and specifically what the Hungarian government are doing in Hungary. So Orbán has announced in cancelling Pride further attacks on NGO, civil society, freedom of assembly, in what he recently called the Easter cleaning, with the passing of the 15th Amendment of the Constitution, which includes the banning of Pride and the modifying the law on freedom of assembly, all on the basis of a right for every child to grow up in a healthy environment. Pretty old school. Maybe we open with that. What do you think about this connection that's being used by not just Orbán, but a lot of on the far right, this link between child protection and LGBT rights? Maybe a
I think Kim actually just said it before. I mean, that just us existing is something that bothers them, and we see it again and again with the extreme right. how they attack LGBTQI people, LGBTQI rights. First of all, I think they do it because it's always good when you have those kind of populist politics to have a scapegoat, saying it's their fault. But the other thing is also that it's questioning the way that they can control society, that some people actually choose to either live in another kind of relationship, have a gender identity which is not what they expect it to be, or even just gender expression in another way. So it's after the textbook of populist autocrat as Orbán is. It's really frightening, I think, because we are talking about fundamental rights as Europeans. So that's what he's attacking. He's attacking the freedom we have to actually be who we are, our personal lives. He's attacking freedom of expression. He's attacking the freedoms of gatherings and protest, which is also a fundamental right. I mean, we're talking about democracy. And the way he's attacking LGBTQI community of Hungary through that, I think it's spiteful and extremely worrying as well. And I would have liked to see also more protest against that from other member states saying, really, no way, dear.
Yeah, and also the kid thing.
Yeah.
Huh? So I'm always like they use that as an argument all the time, and it's very old school. And you know, and I remember when I met my partner's niece. I think she was 8 or 9, and she asked me within an hour. So you're my aunt, right now, like for her there wasn't even a question. She knew I was her girlfriend, and you know, like for
kids
her it was,
tend to understand the best. They get it.
and I don't think I harmed her.
No, but
she really enjoyed that I was way more into Frozen than my girlfriend. So you know, and what infuriates me is by actually saying that we are harmful, you're harming children. You're harming every single child that is doubting their gender identity, that is struggling with their gender expression. Every single child that is struggling, whether you know they're actually lesbian, gay, bisexual. Those are the kids you are harming, and you are the one that are making sure that these kids feel more alone. And more outside of society and abnormal, and it's going to take them even more to finally, you know, come to terms with the fact that they might not be what the standard prescribes.
Yeah. Rasmus,
I just think that it's such an important point also because when you look at the mental well-being of LGBTQI youth, when you look at suicide, attempted suicide rates among LGBTQI youth, we actually talking about the vulnerable groups. So to talk about protecting kids by attacking this group of young people who very often feel quite alone or standing quite alone. I mean...
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit sad.
Just
I'm
realized,
going back to my balloon.
Okay, we have one more section to get through, so you have another little bit to get your Pride balloons up and running. But first, you are both, despite the ban, you're both planning, I mean, firstly, it's good, you know, the protest is back in Budapest because it looks like the ban hasn't stopped the idea of people being and marching on the day. You're both going, along with lots of Green EFA members of parliament and I think National Greens as well. As politicians, as European politicians, why is it important to be there in Budapest for Pride?
Well, first of all, the fact that we are there, it gives an odd extra layer of protection. Because the fact that we are there means, you know, Orbán might be a bit more careful with sending in riot police or whatever, because, you know, like too big of a diplomatic row when MEPs get hurt is not good for him. It's as simple as that. So it's good that we are there to give an extra layer of protection. And besides that, I mean, we cannot let them stand there alone. We cannot leave the community alone. This is one of the beautiful things about being part of the LGBTIQ community. We are a community, and we're not going to let them deal with this horrific thing alone. You know, you can't ban a protest, you can't ban a rainbow, and we will be there and make sure that, you know, there's enough people on the streets that they can't do anything. So that's why we're there.
Rasmus?
But it's also for the community all over Europe and the world, because we're seeing these attacks in Hungary, yes, but it's in, unfortunately, many EU states. We're seeing the political rhetoric from the far right also in my country, Denmark. So this is also about showing up together and saying, yes, we defend the right of protest. We defend the right to be LGBTQI also in Hungary. That also means for the people in Belgium, in Netherlands, in Portugal. So this is important for the community in Hungary, but it's also to take a stand as European about what kind of Europe do we want.
Okay, we've come to our last final section, and I think you're looking pretty there almost. I mean, I'll talk a little bit slowly to see the balloons for those listening are almost complete. So the part 4 is coming back to the personal and your hopeful aspects. So with everything happening, and we haven't really mentioned what's happening in the States, and I don't think, I mean, we also need a bit of a break for our brains as well from it. But in all the noise and all of the backlash that's currently happening, what keeps you going is the first question. And then Pride season coming up. I know there's many happening, not just Budapest, but you'll be attending ones all over Europe, including the Euro Pride in Lisbon. Who are you marching for? And we have complete balloons. Looking good. God, I really did well there to make sure you got...
I didn't hear the question.
Okay. I'll ask again. Oh!
There goes my balloon.
That was
Here's one we prepared earlier. Okay. The question is, what keeps you going in all the backlash currently? And who are you marching for when you go to your Pride season now for the different parades? Kim, it looks like you want to start.
What keeps me going is meeting with other people for the community and just seeing the fighting spirit we have together. The other week I was at a lesbian conference and I was there with more than 500 lesbians all fighting for equal rights and against fascism. And I think that's when I realized again, sometimes in politics, we are being attacked for who we are. It's not always fun being a lesbian right now in the European Parliament, but it's so good to be a lesbian. I'd much rather be that than not being a lesbian. So because we are one community and we stand together. And that's something very special. And I think when you have learned to grow up in a society that doesn't automatically accept you, then you have a special extra superpower that can give us way more power to actually go through this and make sure that no one loses too many rights and that we will continue fighting to the point that we're actually equal at some point. Because that's the goal, of course.
Rasmus?
First and foremost, I go for kids and young people growing up. I mean, I had experience here in the parliament and debate we had on LGBTQI rights, where I really heard some extremely hateful speech. And first I was just like, unfortunately I'm very used to it. I mean, and then I was thinking, no, it cannot be true that young people have to listen to that kind and to grow up with that. I mean, I thought we were somewhere else in 2025. So who I do it for, it is really for young people. And what gives the energy is exactly like Kim is saying, it is to be part of a community that is so diverse as well. I mean, that's the wonderful part about Pride. And also what I think is provoking the far right is actually it's extremely diverse. There's so many groups coming together for the same fight and for the same celebration of who we are. And that gives energy. And if you haven't been to a Pride, I mean, look up. They're all over Europe, in villages, in towns, in cities. And they're wonderful whether you are 50 people or 250,000.
Okay, a big thank you, Kim. Big thank you, Rasmus, for coming in. Nice rainbows in the end. I give you top marks for that. One, that's fine. We don't talk about that one. But you can't ban a rainbow. I think that's a nice end to the podcast. Go to Pride this year, and we wish you the best with all your Pride travels around Europe. So thanks a million for coming in. Thanks for listening to the Unfiltered Conversation. No, sorry, I've been distracted now by someone waving something at me. Oh yeah, okay. We have a gift. We have rainbow face paints.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you so much for Kim and Rasmus for joining us today. Thank you all for listening to An Unfiltered Conversation, our new Green IFA podcast. There will be more episodes coming, so don't forget to subscribe. Check out greens.eu/podcast for options. If you have any comments, please share them with us on our platforms, and we would love to hear more feedback. See you next time, and thanks for joining.